with Small Garden News, and I'm here to talk just a minute today about pruning a tomato plant in the Southeast. In general, if you have caged your tomatoes, they don't need a whole lot of pruning, and that can be great because then they are less open to diseases later in the, because you don't have a lot of open wounds in your plant. So that's important. But early on, even though you don't have to do a whole lot of pruning, it's good to get some of this leafy stuff that's down low off of the plant to improve airflow through the plant as it grows, so that the plant will dry out faster after a rain, and that will minimize leaf diseases later, because leaf diseases like latch on. It's like spores in the air that float by, and if the leaves are wet, the spores are going to stick. But if the leaves are dry, there's a better chance that they won't stick, and that will delay the development of leaf problems, which is a lovely thing, right? So the first flower cluster on this plant is way up high. It's an indeterminate plant. So for an indeterminate plant, really, you can take off this lower leafy branch here, this lower leafy branch here, and you can see that there's, maybe you can see it, I don't know, there's little bitty branches starting to form where the leafy bit hits the main stem, and that could form a whole nother branch. For an indeterminate plant, you can leave those or not. It's up to you. If you like a bushier plant, you can leave those. But I tend to get rid of most of them down here. So I like to have the leaves gone like from about a foot below. Really where the first flower cluster is, way up here. You could take off all of these, but for right now especially, I'd like to have leaves on there to help the plant grow. But this tool is about 12 inches long. So you can see that I have one more leaf below 12 inches. So it's possible that later, when this is a little taller, in a couple of weeks I will come back and prune that off. And there is a branch over here. Now some people don't cut those off, they just snap them. I have occasionally though noticed that sometimes when I snap it, it kind of tears down the stem a little bit, and I don't want to have that risk of a larger wound in the plant, so I snip those off. There's one more. Yeah. Anyway, so that's pruned. Now later in the summer, when some of these leaves turn yellow, you may want to trim those off too, because they're not going to help the plant. And near the end of the season, you might also then want to cut off all the new growing tips so that the plant will put the rest of its energy into ripening the fruit that's already on there. You don't want it to start making a whole bunch more fruit that it will never have time to ripen. So that's the only other time you would think about it for necessarily for an indeterminate plant. If this were a determinate plant, the kind that puts all their fruit on at once, I would still remove the lower leaves, but I would leave all the little side branches, because the determinate plants are kind of designed to be bushier, and they'll set more fruit if they have those little side branches. But they will still need improved airflow, because here in the south we're all humid and get lots of rain normally. Anyway, so this one's indeterminate, and that's how I would prune that. So I hope that's been helpful, and if you have any questions, you are welcome to use the contact form on my website, smallgardennews.com, to ask questions. I'm happy to answer them, because gardening is great. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.